Hello and welcome back to Matt Hayes' Tottenham blog and to the Tottenham versus Liverpool match preview for Thursday's game. I'm joined by Dave with the Irish Hotspur and Keith from the LFC Daytrippers as well. Keith, it's your first time on the channel. How are you getting on?
Yeah, all good, Matt. All good. Glad to join you for this tonight. As I was saying before we came on, usually Liverpool fans can be quite cocky and quite brash. And at this moment in time, we're probably licking our wounds a little bit and maybe not as confident as we have been. But I'm not one to feel too sorry for myself. I still have confidence in Liverpool, so it should be an interesting chat that we'll have.
Yeah, let's hope it is an interesting one. We'd Gav on for the last game, and he wasn't holding back at all. David, how are you getting on today?
Yeah, I'm absolutely delighted. Delighted to be in company like yourself and Keith from LFC Daytrippers there. Look, it's a wounded animal coming to the White Hart Lane. They're going to be dangerous, but look, we need to drive the dagger in, and we need to finish them off.
Yeah.
Let's hope Lane, what's it called these days?
Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, but it'll always be the lane.
That's a genuine question. I was wondering, do the fans still call it the lane? Like these new stadiums, when they can lose a bit of the soul, can't they? And you can still refer to them. Just
like the Liverpool squad at the minute, I suppose, isn't it?
Yeah, it is very true, very true. That's fine. But now, in all seriousness, I've heard it's an excellent stadium, the Spurs, and have you been to it and what do you make? But one of the lads on our show, Davo, was telling me he was over there for Spurs and Liverpool. What would have been probably 2 seasons ago now, or last season, which is our first year in it, and he thought it was an amazing stadium, and he could see the whole NFL appeal on it. But maybe it was a little bit soulless. Would that be fair at the moment? That hasn't bedded in yet, or is I know with no fans it doesn't really help, but he just felt that we all know these sort of modern stadiums can lack a bit of that. Now, I think it's actually a cracking stadium. I think everything about it looks the business, and it's probably a shame that you haven't been able to take advantage of it as yet. Yeah, with the whole COVID thing, but it looks absolutely exceptional place.
Yeah, it is. I've been outside the stadium. I haven't been lucky enough to get in so far, but I think one of the main things they were doing when they were building it is because White Hart Lane, it was a small stadium, and it was so compact as well. They were trying to keep that in the new stadium to keep the atmosphere going. But when you're making such a coliseum, like nearly 70,000 fans in it, it'll always be difficult to do that. Like,
because it was a great stadium, White Hart Lane. It was always obviously one of the big, not big as in size wise, but it was a good stadium. It was an intimidating enough stadium, and I suppose Spurs as a team were always 1 week they could destroy it, and then the next week they'd be pony. Whereas now, they've a good squad there, they've a good coach there. They've had a succession of good coaches, in fairness, and it looks like they're building something. And to get the stadium at this time, going in the right direction. It's
all about how you use the stadium, though. Like, one thing I am jealous about Anfield, I'll be honest, is the noise. The noise you generate. We did generate that in White Hart Lane. The thing is, with the new stadium, we're not utilising the wall that we built. We're not using that big 16,500 seater stand that we built properly. Like, anyone that wants to sing for 90 minutes should for me be allocated that ticket for that stand, because once you get the noise right in that stand, it's going to echo all the way around the stadium. It's just like the Dortmund stand they have. Do you know what I mean? And just to answer your question as well, no, I was up there in the club shop and everything else, and being around the stadium when it was being built, but I haven't actually got to the stadium. But that is definitely first thing on my agenda when all these lockdowns are up.
It's
me too. Yeah. Well, look, one team that will be going to the stadium on Thursday is, of course, Liverpool. And, as we've been saying, they're a wounded animal. They're a weak inside. Is it 5 games without a win now, Keith? The squad is depleted. You're struggling in front of goal.
It has. 5 games, 4 without, 3 or 4 in the league without scoring 4. So, to be honest with you, I'm confident going into it. I'm always confident, I'll be honest with you. But a game like Spurs is the sort of game that Liverpool will pick themselves up for. And the last couple of games against Manchester United, we've seen improvements without sort of getting to where we have to be, where we need to be. The league game, obviously, we didn't score in it, but we played better than we had against the Newcastles, the West Broms. Then we go on to get beaten by Burnley, and then we played Manchester United again in the cup, and it's it's our best performance actually in several weeks in the cup, and we came away on the wrong end of a 3-2 defeat. But the play from Liverpool had promising signs. Now, the thing going into this game with Spurs, Reece Williams has taken a lot of the stick for Liverpool's defeat at Manchester United. He's only a 19-year-old kid. We have our own pod, the LFC Daytrippers, and we spoke about this last night. Reece Williams at 19, he's a League One probably standard centre back. He's not a 19-year-old that's been widely tipped from a young age at Liverpool to make the grade. He actually came out with nowhere this season. He was on loan at Kidderminster last season, and it's unfair to be lashing the kid out of it. It's not really his fault. Now, he's not going to figure against you, so I'd imagine Joel Matip's going to come back in there. But the person that I felt was the weakest in the Liverpool team was Alisson yesterday, and Alisson has been the best player over the last few games. So it's an interesting one for me that other parts of the team looked a lot better, and it was Alisson, unfortunately, that was a bit off the boil yesterday. Which to me, if we can get Mo Salah back among the goals, and not just among the goals, got 2 nice goals yesterday. You know, Bobby Firmino set him up lovely on the first one, and it's something that we haven't been doing. So the signs there that, you know, Trent was better yesterday than he has been. He's been off the boil. Another game for Thiago. You know, little things like that, they're starting to get there. Now, I would rather be playing a team like Spurs, not just Spurs, Arsenal, Chelsea, Man City, Manchester United, the big teams, to sort of focus them more, because I don't think we're focusing enough against the small teams, the teams that we should be beating. And I'm actually, to be honest with you, I don't think Spurs are great shakes at the moment. I'll be honest. I think we're in better form coming to Anfield maybe than you are. You're getting wins on the board, but when you look at the games, and it's rich coming from me saying that games you should win when we couldn't be any of the ones we should have won. But, you know, you're talking about Wickham tonight. What was that, 4-1 that ended up?
4-1,
yeah.
1-1 up until the 80-something minute, wasn't it? And then you just ran in at the end. Marine, Brentford, Stoke, who else? Leeds, Sheffield United. Games you should have won. I know Fulham is through, and Wolves, I think, is through in the last few. And the important thing is you get your points on the board. I know there wasn't that many league games in there. You're getting winning, and winning breeds confidence, which is something we aren't doing. But I'm a little bit confident going into this one that we can do this. I think it all depends on what Jose does for you guys. You know,
one thing I will say to you is that Endon Bad Boy, he didn't play at Anfield. He's definitely going to play Thursday night, and he's a different proposition in midfield. For me, he's definitely the type of player that, like, let's face it. On the night we had a lot better chances. On another night we could have put you to bed. Do you know what I mean? We didn't take our chances. But the only thing I will say is with Ndombele playing, we're going to have a lot more possession than what we did at Anfield. So I do think it's going to be a different game altogether. But a question I actually do want to ask you, Keith, is that Thiago. Now, for me, he's a player that actually he hinders Liverpool, in my opinion. I think he slows everything down. The wingers aren't getting the quick ball they're used to getting. And for me, I think he's just the foreign Harry Winks.
That is absolutely insulting. But no, look, it's a criticism that Didi Hamann has said and others have said, and I think it's absolute nonsense. I think, and no disrespect, I just think it's people are saying he's slowing Liverpool down. He's not, you know what I mean? He's getting the ball, he's moving it, he's still adapting. He had a horrific injury, you know what I mean? And he was out for 2 months or whatever it was, and he's feeling his way in. But he's also playing a lot deeper than he's used to, than he should be playing. Problems at Liverpool, it's an excuse and we'll always use it, but the lack of centre-backs is having an impact on every position on the pitch because, right, you've got, let's say Fabinho has been a mainstay at centre-back, but Fabinho's a centre, he's the man who should be playing where Thiago's playing.
Yeah. So
you've got him playing centre-back with another. We've had 14 or 15 centre-half partnerships this season. It's been absolute madness, right? So they can't concentrate on their own game. They're having to really focus on working as a unit, whoever he's playing alongside, unless it's Matip. But Matip's made out of broken biscuits and he's in 1 week and you never know what you're going to get out of him, unfortunately. But I think it's impacting on Trent, it's impacting on Robertson because they can't bomb forward because that's why we're getting exposed. Thiago should be playing, in my opinion, 10 yards further up the pitch than he is. He shouldn't be playing as a 6. He should be playing as an 8 or even as a 10. We're missing Henderson. Henderson's not going to be there. Gini Wijnaldum is having to play, and Gini Wijnaldum, I don't know what steroids he's taking, but I'm a big fan of them because the fella just runs and runs and runs. He's just an absolute machine. But even the fittest machines can sort of come unstuck a bit, and then the front three are being impacted. So it's literally having an impact on the whole team, and it's what's holding us back and it's what's hindering us. But I think Thiago, I don't think he slows us down. I just think he's getting to grips with the physicality of the Premier League, and I think, you know, his ball movement, it's fine, but it's just that he's having to do it from a lot. Like, if he's getting the ball and he has this pass, and I don't know if you are watching every Thiago game as obviously as much as I'd be, or the Liverpool fans are, but he's this no look pass that he does, that he just sort of drills into the feet of the attacking players, and he's doing it from the centre circle, and it's hitting the player maybe 30 yards from goal. What you really need him to be doing is hitting that from 30 yards out and putting it into the box. Do you know what I mean? So it's the little things like that. We're not getting the benefit of him yet, and that's where we're.
Yeah, with Thiago, for me, like, the way I've been watching it is that, like, almost Alexander-Arnold and Robertson, they're almost having to check their run a little, because it's just coming like that second or two late, and like, especially against United, that's what it looked like to me. That ball, which Liverpool have been so good at, whipping the ball in behind the back four and getting a player on the end of it. For me, it's not happening because Thiago is just playing that pass that split second too late, and they're almost having to check their runs. But moving on to the game against us as well. Another player that will feature and will start against she is Reguilón. Of course, he's on form. He's putting in some beautiful balls in the box for our players to get on the end of. Look, we did have Ben Davies against G at Anfield, and it worked. He had Mo Salah in his pocket all night, to be honest, he did. And but the only thing is, he kept on kicking. Anytime he won the ball back, he kept on kicking straight back to your centre half. Yeah, Sergio Reguilón won't do that. He will get on the ball and drive at this. So it's another different proposition altogether again with him and Ndombele in the team.
Let's wait and see what team Mourinho picks, because Reguilón was the informed player going into the Anfield game, and he got dropped because Mourinho has a habit of going for the security at the back. Now, I done another pod on the preview, other lads' pods previewing Spurs, and I said I thought it'd be a model that Tanganga would have played as part of a three-man defence, because when we went there, I think it was last year when we went there, he put Tanganga in and put him on Mane. Done a great job on Mane, excellent. And I felt he'd do that. Now, I was surprised that wasn't here. I think he was injured at the time, in fairness, but I thought he would have done something like that. And Ben Davies was the one, you know, he's not going to gallop up the pitch like Reguilón does and get exposed. Now, I agree with you. Reguilón's a very good player, very good left back. We played Luke Shaw the other day, who's an excellent left back, who's probably, you know, on par, if not ahead of Reguilón as an attacking threat. But will Reguilón give the defensive cover that someone like Shaw gives? Now, we've been critical of Shaw. I think a lot of people have been critical of Luke Shaw in the past, physically, you know, his physique and that, and his endurance. But he was excellent attacking and defending. I hear what you're saying about Reguilón, but I think Jose will go for a more defensive option. Maybe not Reguilón, because RDA is playing right full. You know, RDA there he's a bit of a menace for Spurs. Matt Doherty hasn't done that there yet, has he? No. He really hasn't. It's a weird sign of Matt Doherty.
I don't think he's even in contention to face. If I'm, in all honesty, he hasn't done nowhere near enough.
It's a weird one, because he looks like he can't play fullback. He's a wing back. Yeah. You know what I mean? And it's crazy. He just can't play. And that's not what Jose Mourinho wants, as a fullback who doesn't defend. So I hear what you're saying about Reguilón, and I just feel that I'd wait and see the team line. I can't see Jose overcommitting. Never has as a manager. Whether it be Chelsea, Man U, Spurs, I just can't see him overcommitting. And especially, again, going back to Ndombele, you know, if you look at the makeup of the Spurs midfield, it's going to be Højbjerg is going to be in there, and I take it'll be Sissoko and Ndombele will be the three, will it? Is that what it's looking like? How Harry Winks plays tonight.
See, it all depends whether he goes with 5 across the back or 3 across the back with 2 wing backs. Yeah, because like he did against Sheffield United, because you just seen Højbjerg and Ndombele playing in there. But if he goes 4 across the back, I think you will see Sissoko in there. I'd rather see Sissoko than Harry Winks, that's for sure.
Yeah, and that's, I mean, it makes total sense. And I agree with what you're saying there. The 5 at the back, I think, is go-to in games like that. And I think, especially against us, he would look to to nullify our threat, even though it's not being there, it can come back. You know, he's not going to lay off Salah because Salah hasn't been on great form. He's not going to go easy on Mane because Mane hasn't been on great form. So yeah, I think that could be a 5 at the back scenario. But if he was to do that, who are you looking at? Is it Eric Dyer? Is he still there, the main man? Eric Dyer and Davinson Sanchez feature, or Tanganga?
Yeah, it's interesting. It's interesting you make the point about Tanganga as well, because he played tonight against Wigan, because
I think he's an excellent player.
He has a lot of potential. You know, he's had his injury problems and stuff. But speaking of injuries, Matt Doherty and Sergio Aurier both missed the game tonight completely because they were out injured. So potentially, I think a 3 at the back would make sense with Tanganga and Dyer either side.
I think Aurier is only
tonight as well, and right back.
Yeah,
I think Aurier is only an illness, so I think there is a chance he will be back against Liverpool.
Fingers crossed
that he is.
Well, I think if tonight's selection is anything to go off, I think the team for Liverpool almost picks itself. Like the fact that Reguilon didn't start tonight and Ben Davies did. I think you might see Reguilon against Shea. I think the biggest talking point for me, Matty, for me, would be Joe Rodon. Do you think he could play in beside Eric Dyer? Because of course he didn't play tonight.
Yeah, I don't know. He played against Chelsea, which was it was a massive shout by Jose Mourinho to put him in there, and I think he played well in that one. You know, he gave a good account of himself, but I think it could be similar to kind of the Reece Williams situation, where he might just be a bit too raw and he's a bit too error prone. Of course, Rodon does have a lot more experience than Reece Williams, but you know, he nearly cost us that game in the last couple of minutes as well, with his mistake to put was it Olivier Giroud in on goal. And I think I'm not going to say park the bus, because I think we deserve more respect for what we do than that, but we're going to play really defensive football, I think, similar to how we played at Anfield. And in that, Keith, it's
but if it works, and that's not a dig, it's a genuine. Mourinho parks the bus in big games. It's a fact. It's not, and that's not meant as disrespecting. I'm sorry for cutting across you there, man. It's not meant to be disrespectful. It's what he does. Do you know what I mean? He parks the bus. He will not. Ever since he was at Real Madrid and he got beaten 5-0 in his first Clasico against Barcelona, and he overcommitted in Real Madrid. Ever since that defeat, he has never committed players in a big game for no matter what team he's been at. So just parking the bus, there's more than one way to win a game of football, you know, and this is the thing Liverpool fans have. So, you know, you think it has to be fast, heavy metal, lightning football. It doesn't have to be that, and you have to be able to break down teams that play the other way. So it's not a dig at him if he parks it. Just genuinely, I think he will park the bus and look to play like he did against Anfield.
Yeah, and I think in that situation, Alderweireld and Dyer are fantastic to have at the back, and Tanganga as well, because you know, Alderweireld and Dyer, to be honest, have been the best centre back pairing we've had this season, the most one that we've seen the most, and we have the second best defence in the league, the second best defence in the top 5 leagues in Europe from open play. So I think those are two players that could do a job for us in there, and if it is 3 or 5 at the back, Tanganga in there as well. But I think, Keith, I was listening to one of your podcasts on the Daytrippers, I think it was last week or something, and Grizz was talking about the front line and the way it's just been the same for so long now, and it does kind of need to be refreshed. And I think for so long in the last 4 or 5 years, when it has been games between Tottenham and Liverpool, it's been, you know, a tactical battle between the two, and it's always been really close encounters, but it's always been those kind of players for Liverpool, the Salahs, the Manes, who can just produce that moment of magic that really changes the game. But now we're in a situation where in the league they haven't scored in 3 of their last 4 games. The only goal coming against the draw against Newcastle, I think he scored in. And now Kane and Son.
Yeah, we scored against West Brom. We haven't scored many, in fairness. It's been painful.
Tough to come by for you. But since last February, the top goal contributors in the Premier League, you've Bruno Fernandes with 45, Harry Kane with 40, and then Salah and Son both on 34. Now Kane missed 4 months of that period. But are we now in a situation for the first time in quite a while where if you're looking for a player who can change this game between Tottenham and Liverpool, are we now in a situation where that player is wearing a white jersey?
To be honest with you, Matt, I felt that way in the Anfield game. I think Son and Kane were the informed forwards in the league, and I was surprised at how well we handled them, to be honest. I don't think either of them had a great game that night. I know Son scored. He's had a couple of breakaway chances Bergwijn missed, but I know what you're saying. Like, I'm not going to make a claim for Liverpool forwards being the threat in this one, to be honest. Salah's the top goal scorer in the league, and he's one of the top assist makers in the league as well. And you know, I'm not going to sit here and say that Salah is in any sort of form. He looked good yesterday. He certainly did. He certainly looked back to his not his best, but better than he has done. But yeah, it'd be interesting. I mean, as I said, we went. we played Hughes on Anfield, and I don't know if it was Reece Williams or Nat Phillips played that game. One of the lads, I think it was Reece Williams.
Yeah,
no,
it was Williams.
Was it Williams? Yeah,
I think it was Williams.
He got caught. It was Williams. He got caught on the goal playing the offside line. And I genuinely feared that the Spurs forwards in that game were going to do us serious damage. Yeah, expose them. Exactly. But that came back to Jose not committing. I think if Spurs had really gone for us, they could have damaged us. There's a lot of lads on our podcast and in our sort of WhatsApp circle that really think Spurs are a threat this year, or maybe thought that leading up to the Anfield game, maybe have died away since then. But I just think the Liverpool forwards, they need to pull something out. You mentioned Mane and Salah, but Bobby Firmino is usually decent against you. He scored a few goals in the last few years.
The only team he scores against.
Yeah. You know, I'm a huge Bobby Firmino fan, and it's mad. Like, I think it's he's not a forward for a start. He's a midfield player who plays a specific role up front, but you can't get away from the fact that he doesn't score goals, you know, and if he's not scoring goals, he needs to be doing an awful lot more.
Do you think it's come to a time where you almost need like a Harry Kane figure up top?
Yeah, there's a lot of talk, and it's a lot of talk about that. You know, how do you replace Firmino with like for like? It's very hard to do that. You know, there's not many players like that that you can convert into a midfield player that you can convert into a forward that's going to do the donkey work and the tracking back and the dirty side of the game. There's not many that will do it, and you know, if it does come to Liverpool rebuild, I think it will be a different tact. I think it will be not Kane, obviously, you wouldn't take him, but a young centre forward. If I talk him, and that's not a dig at Harry Kane, I just mean young player. You're not going to be paying 150 million for Harry Kane, but if you had 150 million, you'd go for, Haaland. Mbappe, Haaland, that type of player. Now, I'm not saying Liverpool are going to have a chance of getting Haaland or Mbappe, but that's the type of player. So it's totally different than Bobby Firmino. Bobby Firmino was there, and he's a system player for Klopp, and it allows the other two. You know, Bobby Firmino doing his good work allows Mane and Salah to get a lot of goals. Bobby Firmino not on form, and the other two not on form, and Jota injured. That's my worry. Where are the goals going to come from? Because they're not coming from anywhere else in the team. So definitely the threat will be in White from the forwards again, as it has this season. In fairness, the two of them lads have been the informed strike pairing this year. I think you suffer from the rest of the team. I think that's what could let you down, is maybe beyond that. There's not many chipping in with goals. I don't follow Spurs too much, to be honest. I don't think there's many goals coming from anywhere else on the team.
No.
It just
and the ballers now contributing.
Yeah, and look, I think he's a cracking player. I think he was a cracking player at Lyon, and he took a while to settle in. And sometimes with players, they can be wrote off too quick. When a player comes to England from abroad, I think people don't know what they've done at their previous club, or they'll be little. It's only the French league. He's a cracking ball player, and it just takes a while for some players. Look at Fred at Manchester United as well. He was terrible. And now, last season, he started ticking over, and that's, you have to give these players time. You can throw them under the bus and write them off. Sissoko was another one for you as well. Struggled and then gets into the team. So, yeah, I'd be wary of Ndombele if he plays him. And that's what will Jose do? Because as I've said already, lads, I just don't think he'll overcommit. And
look,
Ndombele, Reguilon, all in the team, I think will be uncharacteristic for him, let's say.
To be honest with you, I agree with you. Like, to be honest, I don't mind sitting back. Like, at least it gives you a good percentage chance of winning the game, compared to if you just threw men forward, where we've been exposed time and time again. So I'm one of them Spurs fans. I have no problem trying to sit back, nick a goal, and come out of these big games with 3 points, because these are the games that win you the league, winning these games. It's as simple as that. Do you know what I mean? But the only thing I will say is I do think we will be a little bit more attacking than what we were at Anfield. We are at home. I do think what I prefer us to do actually is just start faster than what we did at Anfield. Do you know what I mean? Get at Liverpool early. Don't let them settle on the ball. Don't let Thiago get comfortable spraying it side to side. Get at them early. And for me, I think we should be pinpointing and trying to take the ball off Thiago and try and play in behind him, because what I have noticed over the last few games is the game against Burnley, That header he pulled out of where your man got the header back into the box and they won the penalty. That's inexcusable for me. And then he ducked on the free kick yesterday as well against United. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So for me, for me defensively, for Tottenham going forward, I'd be looking at trying to put my press on him. That's what I'd be looking at trying to do, to be honest with you.
He's been caught with a fair bit of press, and they are catching him. He is getting caught in possession a lot in the last few games with a heavy press. So I think that is certainly a route the target. But the problem is, I'm sorry if I couldn't across you again.
No, work away. What this is about, lad.
If Thiago is on form, Thiago is the best in the world, in my opinion, at getting out of press. You know, that's his strength. It was a strength at Bayern Munich, and we've seen glimpses of it at Liverpool. He done it against United yesterday at one stage. He got the ball, he's looking more and he shimmies and he's gone. He gets out of a press, but he hasn't hit that yet. And I agree with you. It is an area that would concern me. It's like Liverpool at their strength. Firmino, Keita when he plays, you win the ball back in that position of the pitch and it opens everything up. It's the worst place to give it away. You know, it's people think it's centre back giving it away, but you give it away in the 6 because your team are not really set and you've space to run into. It's a really dangerous place to lose possession. And I think, I agree with you. I think he's been caught a few times there. So it's one that, you know, it's certainly, I'm sure Mourinho was going to be looking at that.
Yeah, see, I kind of would be on the flip side of that, where I think this could be a game that suits Thiago, because we haven't been, like, our high press hasn't been as active as it has been in recent years. And if we're talking about him, I wouldn't say like slowing down the game, but like he likes to, I don't know if you heard the Spanish football term La Pausa, where you just kind of you just take that extra kind of second or two, and that's when you kind of pick your pass and stuff. When you're playing against a team like Spurs, I think that could really suit him, because, you know, Keith, you mentioned those passes that he kind of zips in between the lines, and, you know, he's an incredibly talented footballer. And aside from the fact that he needs to adapt to a new league, he's coming into a team that is really struggling. You know, a midfield that has been weakened effectively by defensive injuries, by having to have Fabinho and Henderson back there. You know, kind of your biggest attacking outlets in Trent Alexander and Robertson haven't really been on form this season. Trent especially, of course, after it's been revealed he had COVID and everything. So he's coming into a much more difficult situation. But this game, you know, Spurs hopefully will have a really strong midfield with Højbjerg and Dominic Sissoko. But that midfield is going to be really, really deep. And I think, you know, I do agree maybe Thiago will be better utilized if he's playing in more advanced roles, but perhaps if he kind of sits a bit deeper in this one, and he can try to kind of like orchestrate the play from deeper roles, and he can pick out those passes in between the lines and stuff like that. Do you think this could be a game that, you know, if Spurs aren't as active, it could really suit Thiago?
Well, yeah, but isn't Kane has really flourished this season by dropping back and picking up and making things happen in there now. Kane is an intelligent footballer. Very, very intelligent. You know, he's very quick thinking, and when he wins the ball, he can cause problems. It'll be interesting to see what way Klopp goes with this, because you touched on Henderson there, right? Henderson has been one of the biggest misses for Liverpool recently, because what Henderson does is he allows, we say this, Gav says this on AirPod all the time, he allows the right-hand side of our team to cheat, because he drifts in there and he covers for Trent. You don't see it all the time. Actually, Jermaine Genius done an excellent thing on Match of the Day about it, which was surprising for Jermaine Genius. It was against, I think it was against Crystal Palace when we won 7-0, and he focused on Henderson going, slotting in and telling Trent, get up. And he allows Salah to not have to come back and do the defensive side of it. So when we're having to put him either into the 6 or into the centre of defence, we're losing so much out of the team. I wonder, with him not playing, because I don't think he's going to be playing on Thursday, you know, again, going back to AirPod, some of the lads think Wijnaldum at centre-back would be a better option. So maybe even Wijnaldum in at the 6 and swapping, getting Thiago out of that area. It's, like you said, it's a position we target to win the ball back. So if we're getting caught there, we know that the risk of that. So he might shift it up a bit, but, you know, Spurs will be a dangerous team. I think personally, right, I think he'll go with 3 centre-backs, 2 full-backs, 2 central midfielders, and then Kane, Son, and another. Who's going to be if it does go with that, is it going to be Lucas Moura? Is it be Bergwijn? Who do you think it would be? Bergwijn, because of his defensive sort of, his ability to get back and dig out. So, you know, it'll be interesting to see then if that is the case, if he does end up with 2 central midfield players and Kane isn't getting back in, it might open up a bit of space for the Liverpool midfield. But we'll just have to wait and see. There's a lot of ifs and buts. And I don't know what Liverpool would show up. And that's, you know, if we show up on form I think we're a better team than yours, but we're not in any sort of form, and we're not likely to be with the personnel that we have. Joel Matip is, in my opinion, an excellent centre-back. Fabinho is an excellent centre-back. If they start, I'm a bit more confident. If we're going with one of the other lads, maybe not as confident.
Yeah, no, I fully get that. And I think from a Spurs point of view, it's the best time to be playing Liverpool, but 100%. Because we're Spurs, it's the worst time to play them, because we, like any Spurs fan will tell you, when a team is off form, they perform against Spurs, or when a keeper is making a few mistakes, he performs against Spurs, and it all has that element of, we wouldn't get the easy draw or anything. But having said that, there is a lot of confidence in the Spurs fan base going into this one, which I can't remember being the case for a Liverpool game in a long time. Now, I wouldn't be surprised if we don't win this game. But David, we'll come to you first. How do you see this game panning out, and do you think Spurs will edge it?
Look, I'm always one of them fans, Matty. Even if we're not on form or going into a big game, I always believe we can turn it around and win that next game. For me, for our season, I think it's crucial we beat Liverpool. Especially, like, if we beat Liverpool, and then we have Brighton next, and then Chelsea. We beat Chelsea. We can go on a nice run. We are back in the mix for that title, the title that we keep talking about. So it's a crucial game of the season, to be honest. Look, I'm going to respect Liverpool. I'm going to go the opposite route this game, to be honest. I usually don't show any teams any respect. But I'm actually going to respect Liverpool a little, because one thing I'll give them is, even on their worst day, they usually find a way to beat us. And they've broken my heart so many times, and it really does upset me. I almost hate them as much as I hate Arsenal now. If not, it's on par. But look, like I said, they are wounded. There's no better time to go and play them than now. There's no better time to go and put your stamp and your authority on a game against Liverpool and go and beat them. We've already done it at White Hart Lane before, when Lovren had that absolute disaster class. Do you know what I mean? We absolutely whooped them that day. So at home, we can do it. 100% we can do it. For me, I think you might see a 2-0 Tottenham. Look, I'm never going to come on here and say Liverpool are going to win. I'm never ever going to give an opposition.
We're going to go with a draw.
For me, I think it's going to be 2-0 Tottenham. I think we will start fast. I think an early goal, and then hopefully, as the game goes on later on into the game, we catch Liverpool bombing forward and we go and get a second clinical Kane. Hopefully.
What do you make of that, Keith? How do you see this game panning out? And do you think?
I thought he was gearing up there to say, I'm never disrespectful. I usually go for wins with a 2-2 draw. 2-0. No, but everything Dave said there is 100% correct, because the thing that I've been saying about Manchester United coming to Liverpool last week in the league, and people saying, Liverpool can't be happy with the draw with United. United had a chance to land a psychological blow on Liverpool by putting daylight between us and them. It was 3 points or 4 points or whatever it was, and it stayed at that. Now it's since obviously grown, but the psychological blow of doing that would have been, and taking our home record at the time, would have been, a feather in the cap for Manchester United, and they didn't do that. I agree that it's a big, if Spurs do beat us, it's again a psychological blow for Liverpool and a psychological boost for Spurs.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I thought that the Anfield game, Spurs went in there, they were the form team, and they had a chance to go top, and that's all everyone was talking about. Go top, go top, go top, go top. And they sort of fluffed their lines. I never go against Liverpool, and I don't even go for draws, so I'm going to be no different, and I'm going to go for Liverpool winning this. But I take everything on board that you boys are saying, because, logic tells me that Liverpool are not good at the moment, and, what we done last year and the year before means nothing. What have you done for me lately? And at the moment, we're not a team on form. We're a team very low on confidence, but we are a team that can turn that around, and we are a team that, if we can get into the game, the problem with Liverpool recently, right? The stat is going around, they've only scored 1 goal from 90 shots. And that sums us up. We're patched up at the back, but teams aren't doing too much against us at the back. We're not conceding an awful lot. It's the lack of goals and the lack of, 90 shots, but I think we've probably only had about 10 of them on target. We're not hitting the target. We're taking too long. We're taking an extra touch, whereas before we were more clinical. Our delivery from certainly from Trent Alexander-Arnold is not on point this last while, and maybe he is suffering from the impact of COVID. Some players just don't seem to be able to shift it, and he just looks so tired when he's playing. He can still hit crossfield passes, but it's his movement that isn't on. But what we're doing, we're getting Liverpool fans are very frustrated about this. We're getting into the final third and we're floating crosses in, and that's not what Liverpool were doing last year. Liverpool were cutting through the teams, making an angle and whipping and zipping balls in. We're not doing that now. If Liverpool do that on Thursday night against Spurs, when you've got Eric Dyer, you've got Toby Alderweireld, and you've probably got Tanganga in there, and you could have, you know, an aerial presence like Sissoko, and you could have Højbjerg, you're not going to get any joy out of that. So, you know, I'm going to go for a 3-1 Liverpool win.
Ooh, confident.
But I go for that on everything. Do you know what I mean? Like, unless we'd be going 5-0, 6-0, 7-0. Not against Spurs, I just mean in general. But I just think, you know, the signs that Liverpool showed yesterday to me show that they know they're up against it, and it's a game I don't mind. Like, people are going on about it's a tough period of fixtures. Well, I don't mind that. I'd rather the tough fixtures than the teams we should be beating, expected to be, because we played you boys at Anfield. Honestly, I thought we were a much better team in that game. I thought you played on the counter-attack and you've done well to get to 1-1, and I think we deserved the win. I know you will disagree with that, but genuinely I thought we deserved the win. You look at the game against Burnley, if Liverpool hadn't on it in them games within 10 minutes, you might as well turn it off, because at the moment they don't have that spark. Now, if we start fast against Hughes, like we did in Anfield, I think we got off to a very good start. But we hadn't been able to keep our foot on it. The game against Man U yesterday, we had a good start. Man U came into it, then we came back, and then they got a goal. Silly mistakes from Liverpool. But it was much more what we want to see from Liverpool. And if we can build on that and take it into the game against Spurs, that we think, I mean, you will probably agree, as I've said it, you go to Anfield and you're going to be a lot more cagey. You're playing at Spurs now. They're not going to be as cagey. But then the no crowd thing, that could be playing into Jose's hands, because if you have a full stadium and you're doing that, there'll be a lot of whistles and all that. Doesn't have to worry about that maybe. So it'll be interesting to see how Spurs approach it. If you are a bit more open, it'll be an interesting game. And I'd go for it. If Liverpool were on the back of a 15 defeat run, I'd still be going for a 3-1 win. So wait and see.
Look, I have to admire back in your own team to the hilt.
You know, same with you boys. You always will.
Yeah, I do the same.
I'm not one of these realists that will say, "Oh no, 1-0 to Spurs." Yeah, that's me, arse lads. 3-1 to Liverpool, and that's me giving you a goal because we're a bit bogey at the back.
Yeah, 100%. I agree with you, lad. I'd never ever back my team to draw or lose ever. So I agree with you.
Yeah, there's no point in supporting a football team if you're not going to believe in them in every game they play. And just on the point about that game in Anfield, I think I might have said it to you on the Trippers last week, or it may have been a different podcast I was on. I think both teams in that game at Anfield would have felt they deserved to win it, because from a Spurs standpoint, tactically, our game plan worked 100%. And the same for Liverpool. It was just those fine lines of Bergwijn missing his chances and Firmino losing his man at a set piece is the difference there between 3 points for Liverpool and 3 points for Spurs. But I fully agree, we will be a bit more attacking in this one, but we'll still be so defensive. And if we can just be that defensive unit, the solid defensive unit that we've been so far this season, but with that extra sort of something on the counter-attack, because we know we're playing against a team who are off form and who are a bit weakened, I think if we can get to a 2-goal cushion, game over. But if it's only a 1-goal cushion and we start to defend that, I think we could easily see a 1-1 draw on this one. But I think Jose's probably learned his lesson from the games against, was it Newcastle, Wolves, Palace and Fulham, where we threw away a 1-goal lead and drew 1-1. So I think perhaps he's learned his lesson for that, and we will go and get that the killer goal. We did it against Sheffield United in our most recent game. And you know, you're saying there, Keith, how you think we might play a 5 at the back with 2 centre midfielders. If that's Højbjerg and Ndombele, I think we win this game, because we saw they play for the first time together in a double pivot against Sheffield United, and absolutely incredible from the two of them. Again, I know it's weak opposition, but
this isn't Sheffield United in
midfield. Absolutely, like, it's one thing playing against weak opposition, but just how good they were technically, how good they were tactically, and how much they complemented each other's game. Yeah, exactly. And like, no matter who you're coming up against, you can still see when there's a partnership there, that a connection that really does work. And I think that is something that could hurt Liverpool. And look, if Kane and Son are firing, we beat anyone on our day. So I'm going to go for a 2-1 win, purely because, look, I predicted 3-1 for the Wickham game today, because Tottenham just don't keep clean sheets. So I'm going to go with a 2-1 win in this one. Maybe a goal from a set piece, but I think we actually have enough to beat you in this one.
Yeah, and look, I'll be confident as can be. And if Spurs do win it on Thursday night, you know, it's not going to be a total shock to me and to Liverpool fans at the moment. But you know, I just think Liverpool have to come out of this slumber at some stage, and you know, I'm not saying it has to be Thursday, but someone is going to be on the receiving end of it, and I just think this one is probably geared up maybe a bit for us to kick dust off the cobwebs, because when did you last beat us?
2017 November, I think, the 4-1 at Wembley.
The Wembley game, and yeah. Look, that's light years ago, because that's sort of forced their hand to go out and buy Virgil van Dijk, because Lovren had a stinker that day. And Mignolet, I think, was in goal, or Cardias, one of them two was in goal. You know, it was a defining moment in sort of Klopp's era. There's been games since then that Spurs have been excellent at Anfield. 2-2 draw when Wanyama scores that rocket. Spurs were brilliant. I mean, we said that was the year I think we came second to Man City, and a lot of Liverpool fans said the best team to play that season was Spurs. They were unbelievable team under Pochettino. It's going to be different now under Jose, but that's just what you get with Jose. When you bring Jose in, you bring him in to win things at the cost of playing good football, and that's not it's not a dig, you know. It's just the way it is with the fella, and that's what he'll do. You know, if Sissoko has to play midfield, I think he plays midfield all day long. To be honest, against us, just because he'll want as many workhorses in there, and I would rather see Ndombele and Højbjerg in a 2 than Sissoko and Højbjerg, because if you overrun us, we're in trouble. I think Ndombele is a much better ball player than the two of them, but I think Jose is all about outworking you. If you outwork Liverpool in midfield and you can put constant pressure on that defence, which isn't Spurs' way, it isn't Jose's way to be putting pressure on. He's a counter. He's more into the counter in the big games. But if they do that, I think, you know, Spurs will be in a good position to beat us. And I'm just hoping that Liverpool can pick it up and can up their game for a big game against the team. Look, we bet you dropped a few points then, and you were out with a title race. People are writing Liverpool off and laughing at their season now because we've lost for the first time at home in 4 years or something, and we've drawn 3 or 4 games that we should have drawn. But as you boys have seen, a few positive results in the league, and it can get you straight back in there. And that's what Liverpool have to do, and have to start now, have to do it on Thursday against Spurs, you know, to have a chance of getting back into the mix. Because if we do, and we can start, you know, I don't think Liverpool are going to sign a centre-back. If we did bring in a centre-back and we start getting some bodies back playing, you know, Jordan Henderson back, Naby Keita back, Jota back, where it's given our squad a few more options and we're a bit healthier for the second half of the season, I'd be confident that Liverpool putting up a title challenge. But that has to start sometime. You can't leave it and leave. We can't wait for that to start in March. You know, we've a pig of a February now coming up. Air run has to start now on Thursday night. If it doesn't, you know, we're in a battle for top 4 at the end of that, and it's going to be a tight battle. There's going to be some big teams missing out, although I do think the Leicesters and that will fade away, the Evertons, the West Hams. Genuinely, I think the top 4 will be made up of 4 of the bigger teams. What for? I wouldn't put my life on now, Liverpool being in it, but you know, it remains to be seen who that'll be.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, look, we're just about to hit 45 minutes, so I suppose we'll wrap it up there. David, Keith, thank you so much for that fantastic preview. I'm sure everyone who's watching has enjoyed it. But before we go, Keith, do you want to let us know where to find you on Twitter and on YouTube?
Yeah, there's me handle there, but that's boring. I don't really do much on Twitter, but you can catch me on the LFC Daytrippers. It's an LFC pod. Matt has been on with us a few times. It's, you know, obviously we're LFC centric, but I think we're fair and balanced with other clubs as well, and we do our fair bit on that. So get over onto YouTube and give us a look. Get onto Twitter at LFC Daytrippers. Give us a follow if you like the stuff. Happy days. But we do try and branch out from Liverpool from time to time.
Yeah, absolutely. I highly recommend to everyone who watches go over and check it out. The Friday forecast, you know, looking at all the Premier League games for the weekend, and the new show you're doing with 5 Yards as well. Absolutely outstanding content, not just for Liverpool fans. David, do you want to let us know what's coming up on your channel in the next couple of days?
Yeah, of course. Later on today, I'll be dropping the show with you, Matty. That I done. Tell me your Spurs story, how you got into supporting Tottenham and everything else, and your favorite memories, and also make sure you get over and tune into that. I'll also be bringing you a preview on my channel for the Liverpool game, and then of course live watch along on your channel, then Matty, on Thursday night for the game. And then we have the new weekly roundup show that we do for the news, Matty. I have Marcelo coming on. We do an episode every week where we do a little debate, and then also a new segment coming with Charlie where we'll be doing Premier League predictions for the Premier League games coming up. So yeah, there's a lot of big content coming up. Make sure you smash the subscribe. It helps me, you know what I mean. It's free. And as well, I just want to say thanks very much, Keith, for today. Really enjoyed this. I do advise everyone to get over and check out LFC Daytrippers. As a Spurs fan, I do find it hard listening to opposition's channels and stuff, but I have to agree, it's a good podcast. I do enjoy it, and you talk a lot of sense there. You definitely know your stuff. So everyone get over there and check it out. And again, mate, thanks for having me as always. Thanks, lad. I really do appreciate it.
And before we finish up, lads, just to say, you know, one of the big things from me, and I know the lads on the Daytrippers do be the same. People enjoy fan media, and they enjoy people who put in the effort to put into their content. So, you know, I hope, you know, anyone on the Daytrippers as well that I've seen, Matt, that they'll go and they'll give you a follow, and as well, just out there, we get on and try and sort of, because I think if you can help people out and you can get your platform across to other people, you know, some people are just so tunnel vision with their club. And we're all going to be certain element is going to be so centric on your club. But, you know, I'm not one of these that's only watch Liverpool content. Matt does great stuff, you know. It's brilliant. And the more people that watch it and that can engage with it, the better. It doesn't have to be hostile. It can be friendly, you know what I mean? Like we, on the Daytrippers, we get being inundated with Manchester United fans lately. And some of them will interact, and that's great. We've no issues with that. Some of them act a maggot, but you know, you just go on and support other fan channels, because it's the best content that you'll get out there. Listening to fans' opinions on football, we're not always right. Do you know what I mean? But it's as valid as anything you're going to see on the likes of Sky Sports or any of these other news channels at the moment. So I'd highly recommend just any fans out there listening, just get on and support all the channels, and you'll find stuff that you like that you might be surprised with.
Yeah, absolutely. I fully echo those sentiments. I appreciate that, Keith. And look, anyone, if you're looking for what's coming up on my channel this week, on Wednesday night, we've got a bumper live stream with Spurs and Liverpool fans previewing Thursday's game as well for that one. Looking to get you involved in an interactive live stream. On Thursday, we, of course, have the big one, a live watch along. Hopefully, we'll see Keith in the comments when Spurs get their 3 points. On Saturday, we've got a pre-game show for the game against Brighton, and then live watch along on Sunday for Brighton as well. So please smash that subscribe button. Make sure you set reminders for all those live streams as well. And also, if you do want access to exclusive content and exclusive member call-in shows before every live watch along, make sure to hit that join button down below, and everything will be explained for you. But from me, from David, and from Keith, thank you so much for watching tonight. Let's hope Tottenham can get the 3 points over the line. And as always, come on, you Spurs.
Come on, you Spurs.